If all movement is always interconnected, new arising from the old in a determined order, if the atoms never swerve so as to originate some new movement that snap the bonds of fate, the everlasting sequence of cause and effect, what is the source of the free will possessed by living things throughout the earth? Is free will an illusion, or something fundamental that makes us who we are? If we were to ask someone, "Do you have free will?" they would likely say, "Of course. If I choose to raise my hand and go through with that decision, that choice is my free will in action. It is I that makes the decision, and no doubt we feel as if we are in control, directing ourselves upon our own volition. But is that true? Are we really the arbiters of our will? The theory of determinism would say no, that our free will is nothing more than a convincing illusion. There are many theories that discuss free will, how to define it, what it comes from, and the legitimacy of it. The general consensus among many is an idea called causal determinism. It is the idea that every event from particle interaction to the abstraction of decision-making is predetermined by that of which has already happened. Due to the computational laws of nature, it states that all things are confined to causality. To better illustrate this idea, here's an example. Say we are two omnipotent beings walking down an alley, and in this alley resides a cat sitting upon a fence. As the cat notices us, it jumps down from the fence. However, as this cat is falling, we freeze it in time, suspending it in midair. This cat that was frozen, let's say, now exists within a state we will call state B, and where the cat was, sitting upon the ledge before it jumped, we will call this state A. Now if we're able to analyze this cat and understood the position and interactions of all the particles that compose it in state B, and we understand the cat's composition in the same way for state A, and not just for state A and B, but for all states in between, would we then be able to determine the future, the cat's state a fraction of a second from now, let's say in state B1? Determinism would dictate yes, we would, because we understand all the particles and interactions this cat consists of in states A to B, and the forces of physics that will affect its composition, such as gravity. We therefore could computationally predict what its next state will be in the future. The particles that make up the cat in its entirety are moving and changing in relationship to where they were previously. In determinism, the future is predetermined from the past based upon the trajectory of interaction. Therefore, we are able to logically deduce in this scenario how and where the particles that make up the cat will be a fraction of a second from now in state B1. So, how does this apply to us? A reductive example would be if we are able to take a snapshot of the neurons in the human brain and see the state at which they are firing at a moment in time. We could determine, due to the causal laws of nature, what firing state they would be in the following moment. The brain is reliant on electrical signals, or ions, flowing along axonal pathways based upon positive and negative concentration of charge. If we theoretically know where the ions will flow due to the calculable laws of nature, we therefore could know the algorithmic system or patterns that arise in the greater interaction of neurons, since these patterns are reliant on small-scale interactions. In essence, this explains what neurons do is predetermined from what they have done. Therefore, we would not have free will because what we will do is determined from what we have done. It can be difficult to understand the lack of free will that determinism argues, as it truly feels that we are responsible for the decisions we make. But that, unfortunately, would be an error under determinism. If what you are is computationally already predetermined based upon the states that came previous to it, then you don't decide to do anything. What you decide to do is already predestined based upon the neurophysiological interactions of your brain and body. You deciding to do something is simply a cascading, bifurcating sprawl of electrical and chemical activity with a near incalculable number of interactions that at its core is a computational algorithm running through your brain that doesn't have a conclusion yet. But when the algorithm is computed and you become aware of the conclusion, that illusionary state of enlightenment is the decision you made. It is not that you have made a decision at all yourself, you just become aware of the end product of the computation. In the view of determinism, we do not determine what we do because what we determine is the end expression of what we are. We cannot will ourselves to be because the will is an illusion of causality. Arthur Schopenhauer once summed it up in a very simple and elegant sentence. A man can do what he wills, but cannot will what he wills.